It is hard to make a sequel of an already beloved and overwhelmingly successful game. What's especially more difficult is topping over most, if not all, aspects that made the original all the more great. There are only a certain handful games that can achieve this. However, I'm not really sure if God of War Ragnarok fits the bill or not. Hello guys, and in today's video we'll be talking about God of War Ragnarok. I know I'm a little late to the party, but I really wanted to talk about this game for a while now and what I've really enjoyed and also not enjoyed about this game, and in general talk about what sets this game apart and whether it is a good sequel or not, as it does have a lot of glaring flaws. But before starting, please like and subscribe and share this video with your friends guys, it will be greatly appreciated as these sort of videos take time and effort to make. But without further ado, let's dive right in. God of War Ragnarok's best yet also its worst thing is its combat system. Don't get me wrong, I still found the combat very much fun and challenging as the previous one. However, jumping into this game I expected a little more from Santa Monica. The base combat of the game is mainly the same, with Kratos wielding two weapons, the Leviathan Axe and the Blades of Chaos, with the addition of the Draupnir Spear later on. The basic movesets of the Leviathan Axe and Blades of Chaos remain more or less the same, with fast and heavy attacks paired with special light and heavy runic attacks that you can unlock by searching for loot across the world through chests and other explorable areas. One ability, however, that I found really useful was the Shield Strike. I found it to be super useful under tight conditions and especially tough boss fights. It's all about timing and precision. As soon as a light blue light flickers above the enemy, you gotta be quick to double tap L1, which will completely stun the enemy, giving you a rare window of opportunity to strike. Taking control and playing as Kratos is just as cool and badass than that in 2018. But the problem is, it's just, not more fun. It does become stale playing as him if it weren't for the new Draupnir Spear being added later on. However, it's a bit too late, which is more than 2/3 of the way into the game. But the Draupnir Spear works like a charm, with certain enemy types prone to more damage while using this weapon. The spear also has a basic light and heavy attacks and whatnot, but the main feature of the Draupnir Spear is the ability to stun the enemy when thrown. The spears can be thrown infinite amount of times and really adds more to the range combat of the game. Although I didn't see myself using the spear as often as the other two, unless when I really needed to, during an encounter with a specific enemy or boss type. I feel that the Draupnir Spear pales in comparison to that of the Leviathan Axe and the Blades of Chaos. It lacks the brutality and the meatiness of the Leviathan Axe and the speed and ferocity of the Blades of Chaos. It is not as intimidating wielding this weapon, which is a shame, because unlocking the Blades of Chaos in the previous game felt much more rewarding and much more impactful. It genuinely felt like a new cannon added onto your arsenal, and it really made a huge difference. So more or less playing as Kratos just feels the same. However, we're not just playing as Kratos in this game, as Atreus gets his own time to shine, but not for long, as playing as Atreus doesn't seem nearly as fun as Kratos. Just as the previous game, Atreus only has bow attacks and arrows in his arsenal, with the occasional turning into a bear to wreck shit up, which is pretty much the equivalent of Kratos' Spartan Rage. Speaking of Spartan Rage, this time around we also have Valor and Fury. Valor grants you a moderate burst of health while taking away a chunk of your overall Spartan Rage meter, and man, the amount of times this ability has come in clutch to save my ass is ridiculous. Whilst Fury is pretty much short bursts of Spartan Rage that can be activated and deactivated anytime, as long as your Spartan Rage meter is full. Both of these are welcome additions to the system and give you more of an incentive to conserve your Spartan Rage. Also, the Spartan Rage and health meter can be increased by finding and unlocking Nornir chests through completing mini puzzles, just like the previous game. Getting back to Atreus, the main arrows in his arsenal are the Sonic Arrows and the Sigil Arrows, which can both be used in combat and to open certain areas or complete certain puzzles. Sonic Arrows can be used to stun enemies, allowing you to get a few good attacks in, and Sigil Arrows can be used to inflict hex damage to your enemies, meaning your overall stats are powered up and you can do more devastating damage to your enemies. Overall, I feel like there isn't really much variation in Atreus' gameplay sections, and they could get a bit boring and tedious, especially if they go on long enough. It's still good to play as Atreus to change things up, but I'd much rather take control of Kratos for the majority of the game. You also have Freya joining the party this time. She uses her magical spells to hold down the enemy while you get a few good attacks in. She can also fire arrows at your command, more or less the same as Atreus. Although I found Freya to be more helpful during combat encounters. God of War Ragnarok's combat system is fun. However, I feel like it's a bit too similar to 2018. But hey, as you must have heard the phrase, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. One thing that was broken with 2018, however, was boss variation. Seriously, I've lost count of how many times we had to face off against trolls or ancients in 2018. God of War Ragnarok has partly addressed this issue, however they have replaced one problem with another. The Drekkies are pretty much the new trolls replacing the old gang. Although I don't think they were recycled as much as the trolls in 2018, so I could let it slide this time. Ancients do however make a small cameo, but it felt like a nice throwback to the previous game. However, in doing so, I feel like they were overused. I could easily say Ragnarok certainly has better bosses than 2018, maybe because there are more boss encounters this time around, not only in the main story but on the side as well. Talking about the side content, let's jump right into the next section. God of War Ragnarok really pushes exploration even more than 2018. There's a lot more to see and do in this game compared to the previous entry, with each realm offering a plethora of activities, and god, can we talk about how beautiful some of the newer realms look. The game in general looks really beautiful, even though I played it on the PS4 because I'm broke as fuck. I really loved Vanaheim, it was probably my favorite to explore. Just rowing the boat and taking it to the vistas and snapping some good shots using the photo mode whilst listening to your companions talk and banter, discovering tombs and ruins to learn more about the world and Norse mythology, completing puzzles and unlocking new items. And if you're looking for a little bit of a challenge, how about fighting the Berserker souls, which are pretty much similar in difficulty to the Valkyrie bosses, or checking out Surtur's trials, which are back, although this time around more tough and challenging as ever. There's also various side missions and quests, and I gotta say, they really improved on the side content by a lot. The side quests in Ragnarok feel way more diverse and versatile compared to just talking to spirits and helping them out in God of War 2018. Each quest in Ragnarok feels so fresh and memorable, like freeing the Halfgoofa side quest. Witnessing them take flight onto the skies of Alfheim was truly a mesmerizing experience. Or helping Freya out, where we learn more about her toxic relationship with Odin and how much she wants to break free from the past. Speaking of the past, I love how Ragnarok takes realms from the previous game and completely changes it up, giving us access to new areas to explore that was untouched in the previous entry. Alfheim is a very good example of this. It is unrecognizable. The dark and stormy deserts, along with a labyrinth of rocky mountains and deep caverns to explore, contrasting with the lush forests and lakes and crystal clear skies of the previous one. I really couldn't tell it apart from the previous game, even after reaching the Elf Temple. Kudos to the designers to meticulously make sure that each area doesn't look boring or too similar to God of War 2018. There's so much to do and find in God of War Ragnarok that I lost count of how many times I got distracted from the main story. I love when games do this, pulling you out of the main experience and immersing you into exploring and experiencing more of its richly crafted worlds. God of War Ragnarok truly excels at exploration, that even after spending well over 40 hours in the game, you still wouldn't run out of things to do. The endgame content is plenty and not like the way Ubisoft handles it, with having boring and mediocre filler quests and pointless collectibles padding out the game, making it feel artificially bloated. It genuinely has quality side content that feels like a smaller and richer experience in of itself. God of War Ragnarok more or less follows the same customization and skill system as God of War 2018. There are 3 major areas in which to unlock new skills in, which are technique, ranged, and melee, as opposed to only 2 in the previous game. Not only do we have a combination of old and new skills, but we also have an all-new skill tree for Freya. This time around you also have skill mods that can be used to increase damage, stun protection, or other attributes that are linked to this specific weapon. However, you need to complete challenges associated with the specific skill called skill labor in order to unlock the skill mods. After completing the skill labor challenges, you'll see that your skill has been upgraded to gold tier, meaning that now you can craft and apply mod tokens to that specific skill. The skill tree pretty much works similar to God of War 2018, where you gather XP through combat and completing certain missions and objectives and use that to unlock and learn a new skill. The skill system isn't really that different to God of War 2018, however it's simple and easy enough to understand. Like the previous game, our loaded arsenal of weapons and armor can be leveled up and crafted like the previous game through hack silver, which you can get by collecting it from chests, or should I say in Kratos' terms, breaking them, and you can get them from looting dead enemies. You can attach weapons with rune enchantments that increase certain properties like luck, cooldown, vitality, and runic attacks. Although this time around you get an amulet, meaning you can equip multiple of these at once. You can also get weapon parts and armor sets from looting chests through exploration in the world and also purchase them through hack silver. You also have relics and sword hilts that can trigger a certain effect or an attack that can give you an edge in battle. You can find them by exploring the 9 realms, opening up legendary chests, or completing side quests. Nothing's really massively different in terms of skill system and customization, besides a couple new additions. But it works, it's not too overcomplicated, and gets the job done. Now, as much as I love God of War Ragnarok's narrative, it does falter in many areas. However, let's start with the good first. The story is a lot more complex and engaging in God of War Ragnarok as opposed to the really baseline simplistic story of 2018. The way they interweave and spin the Norse mythology to fit the narrative they want to tell is very impressive. The voice acting is immaculate and most characters get their time to shine. I was blown away with the performance of each of the supporting cast, from Freya's vengeful, bitter hate towards Kratos and Odin to Sindri and Atreus' wonderful dynamic and friendship. I grew more attached to these characters than I ever did in 2018, mainly because they play a much bigger role in Kratos and Atreus' journey this time around. I was also really impressed with how well the villains were written and handled. I really hated Heimdall as the game progressed, and that is perfect because the actor does such a convincing job at selling him as the arrogant douchebag god that he is. Odin also shines through with his clever wit and manipulative ways. And of course, what else can I say about Kratos and Atreus? We can see how much their bond has grown from the previous game, from barely speaking sentences to each other to cracking jokes and bantering, along with sharing more things with each other. Admittingly, it is Atreus doing much of the talking, but it's nice to see him open up to his father much more. Although he still does lie and hide a lot of things from his father, just like Loki, we see his entire arc of becoming Loki and learning his responsibility as a god and a giant, and how that weaves into the prophecy of Ragnarok. Honestly, this feels more like Atreus' game than Kratos'. I'm not mad at that either. Although even Kratos has its moments where he's in constant eternal conflict with himself, whether he should wage war at Asgard in order to protect his family and friends or not. His arc perfectly mirrors that of Tyr, his constant overprotective paternal instinct driving a wedge between his and Atreus' relationship, causing him to leave for Asgard and join Odin temporarily to find his purpose. I love the dynamic between Atreus and the Asgardian gods, mainly with Thor and Thrud. I love the interactions with Atreus being friendly and bantering, whilst Thor being very weary and suspicious of him, to slowly developing a liking to the kid. His friendship with Thrud is also pretty nice and feels naturally developed, where she talks about how ruptured her relationship is with her father and mother. I love this entire arc of Thor having family problems with his wife, his daughter and Odin, with them constantly feeling unworthy and tired of being used as nothing but a weapon by Odin. However, I do feel this part of the story definitely feels rushed and underdeveloped. Like most of the second half of God of War Ragnarok, this game often feels like two games fit into one, where a lot of room for development is ignored in favor of huge spectacle moments and reveals. Whereas it was much the opposite with 2018, as it took more of its time trying to build its characters, their motivations and relationships, and also the world around them. Which I really feel made the big spectacle moments in God of War 2018 much more impactful. Talking about a spectacle, the cinematics of this game are gorgeous, with the no-cut camera making a return from 2018. It definitely adds an element of tension and drama in all the scenes. That paired with Bear McCreary's beautiful score is like cherry on top. Getting back to my original point, however, the major downside of God of War Ragnarok's main story is that a lot happens in it, that we barely have time to settle down and take it all in. The game definitely runs into a lot of pacing issues because of this, and some gameplay and story sections probably should have been a little shorter. For example, as much as I love the growth and development of the relationship between Atreus and Angerboda, I feel like that entire section in Ironwoods was dragged out way too much and could have been cut short. Seriously, I'm not doing chores for a random girl I met in the woods. Need to get back on that Sigma male grind set. But jokes aside, another massive issue I have is that the entire last act of God of War Ragnarok feels very rushed too. It's again the game trying to do too much, which is why I think a trilogy for this Norse mythology series would have been much better. Even though we would have to wait a little longer, I feel like more of the plot details and ideas would have been much better developed and the finale would have felt more grand and well earned. However, there's still plenty set up for another small game, lots of other things to untangle and resolve in this Norse arc. Overall, I did enjoy the story of God of War Ragnarok. The voice acting, dialogue, camera work and cinematics are definitely a step up from 2018. However, it also has more glaring flaws like a half-baked final act and plenty of rushed story arcs and ideas. God of War Ragnarok is a pretty good game. However, I wouldn't really call the game a masterpiece. It's not really a Brotherhood to AC2 or an Arkham City to Arkham Asylum, as a lot of elements still feel very similar with only some minuscule elements added, to the point where I don't even feel like I'm playing God of War Ragnarok. I feel like I'm literally playing an extended cut or DLC of God of War 2018. I do think this game certainly does some things a lot better than 2018, like a much more complex narrative, much larger and better spectacle moments that makes your jaws drop, and offering more new areas and realms to explore with much more improved and varied side content, whilst lacking in others such as a widely similar combat and customization system that leaves much to be desired and severe pacing issues compared to 2018. However, I still feel that it's a solid entry to the franchise and certainly deserves its praise and success. Anyways guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe if you did. I'm sorry this video took this long to make. I've been really busy with university and whatnot, which is a shame. But tell me what you guys think of God of War Ragnarok in the comments below. Even though it's been 3 months since the game's been out. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for supporting this channel, and I hope to keep making similar high quality content like this in the future. So hope you guys can understand the delays and why I'm not uploading enough in my channel. But hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day and stay tuned for more content like this in the future. And I'll see you guys very soon.